So for most people, this is a typical job. For me, this is a huge job. Hi, I'm Chris, and I'm an artist. This is my 1988 Silver Eagle Model 15 bus. 4 years ago, the motor decided to let go on me, and I've been picking away at it ever since. Here at my shop, you never know what jobs, projects, or shenanigans I'll be up to. So follow along with me as I try to get this bus back on the road and get into future projects. This is 11th Hour Custom. So I'm going through the bolt sizes I need, and I'm going to use them to bolt everything as a dry run in place and bolt everything together minus the gaskets. I tapped all the holes I'm going to use for the mounts. It's these two and then these 6. And I'm just going to do them piece by piece. Now I remember they were these star heads. So some of these were these small bolt holes. So clearly you won't be able to get a socket on that one. This panel goes like this, right? Now as of right now, that one plug, this plug is sticking out too far. So I either got to find another plug that sits flush, try to run that one in a little more, or I'm gonna have to grind the head of it off. So, all right, here's what I did. I went over to the old block and I pulled the plug that was where the oil cooler was on that block. And if you look at the two, they're like, I don't know if you can see that, maybe an 1/8 inch difference. So I tried it out already and I ran it in and it goes beyond, way in. So I'm going to put that in and that'll keep me from having to grind anything or half-ass anything. I couldn't get this out. The last time I tried to get it out of the other block, I broke a 1/2 inch extension. I had to put heat on it. We'll run this in where it needs to be. You can see this one really goes in. It was in the same distance on the other block. So I don't know if someone ground this one down or what, but because the square part seems shallow. But it's already done, so I'm gonna use it. Alright, this is a problem. But as you can see, you can't get a socket on these bolts. Like there's metal in the way. Well, it would be nice to be able to get a socket on there. Like starting the bolt isn't an easy process. And really what I might do right here is if I grind this out of the way, there and there I can get a ratchet socket on it. You know, that's like risking a leak, really. There's not a lot of material between here and there. Then the other thing is that this end here, you got to put this rubber washer and the clamp on the water outlet. And the reason why I was doing a test run on this is because I didn't want to put the gaskets in there and, like, God forbid I put a little bit of adhesive on them and you can't get to the bolts, you know. I kind of have to think about the approach of this. I mean, if there's literally, like, if you grind an 1/8 inch off of here, you can fit a socket in both of them. And the only problem I'm having is there's supposed to be a piece of metal that bolts in here so that the water comes down here through this cooler and back, and it's not there. So I have to go through my videos and see if I have video of me taking this cooler apart, which I know I do, but I don't know if I have the whole process. But I need to know if I took that metal guard that goes in here, right in this thing, out, And for some reason, my brain's saying that it was never in there. And if it was never in there, then the transmission wasn't running as cool as it should have been. So right from here to here, just enough for a socket to get in here. That'll make life so much easier. So even with that there, this elbow is, I wonder if it's different than this elbow. So these may be a little bit different. All right, welcome back. I don't know why I'm saying that. This is one video. For me, it's welcome back because it's been about a month since I've touched this. What I am doing was dry running the coolers and putting everything together minus the gaskets and making sure I have all the right bolt length. I'm gonna stop at this point and disassemble what I have so I can clean up these two corners on this piece of steel just a tiny bit to get a socket on. We're gonna disassemble this, clean that plate up, and then reassemble this. Try to get all my bolts together and all the lengths bagged so I know, like, when I put it together finally with a little bit of sealant and stuff in that backside, that I don't have to take it apart again. Okay, fat ass, look at the camera. My memory card from the other, I had another memory card in this camera, this GoPro, and it kept giving me an error message. I'm trying to figure that out. But anyway, what I was trying to record before the memory card messed up was this motor here was in my way and the board was sticking way out. So like I was having a hard time with the coolers and trying to mock up the coolers. So I brought the forklift over, which I did get to record from the other camera, and I moved the motor over, but for some reason the boards aren't, the motor's like, it's on there, but the board's rocking for some reason. I don't know if you can see that moving, but it's moving. It's okay, it'll be fine. Till it hits me in the back. So update on this. I ground down the corners here, and now you can see this fits. Mistake number one in this video. That's where I'm stopping. But the reason why I had to ground the corners of the cooler, that cover, was because these were the bolts that came out of that end. So these 12.38 socket little head bolts are what goes in the end of the block here by the oil filter. The other ones are on there. Hopefully it never leaks. I'm sure some engineer figured out that it was easier to put these in than put in bolts. And obviously you could probably get to these with the oil filter in place. That's mistake number one. 2 bolts. But the only problem with this is, from what I figured out, is when you build this thing to put it on permanently, you need to take this thing, this piece that I ground, and the backing piece, and it has to all be assembled first with the transmission cooler too. So you're gonna put the back bolt, gasket, this plate, then there's another gasket that goes behind this. That goes on, the coolers go in, then these bolts, they go together, and all that is gonna have to get tightened down first. Now I would personally, I'll probably put this bolt in and this bolt in, but I'm gonna leave these 4 for the oil filter off. But this thing goes here for the oil filter. And you can see that's right in the way of that one bolt. So there's no reason for that to be on there. So this is why I'm doing a dry run of this, is that I kind of have to figure out the order in which to put this together so that I don't destroy gaskets. And you know, like I did back here for this thing. So here's the transmission cooler, which has been steam cleaned and pressure checked and everything else. But it hasn't had any cat hair removed from it yet.
hand it to these bus guys. I mean, they must have been monsters of men. Okay. I would think that, you know, like Caterpillar and everybody else, they got like a tube and some lines. I don't know who the hell designed this. Man, that guy loved gaskets. Now keep in mind, this is all going to be done before it goes up in the air here. I grabbed my Detroit book, and then I have, this is for MC9, but it's exploded view of the coolers. So what I need to do is look up the bolt size for this one right here, which is this number 12. So that's 5/16 by 1 3/8. So I want to make sure I have all my bolts, and then I'm going to pull them off and bag them all in separate bags. Trans cooler, oil filter. And then I got these two down here and the one from the back. And if I don't have them, these are all the bolts from the original oil cooler. They're just, you know, cruddy. Some of them are worse than others. There's really nothing wrong with most of them. They just need to be cleaned up, and most of them are grade 8. I do have those as backups. I want to go over something. It's just my theory, but I think this is correct. This is the transmission cooler cover right here. This goes on the outside of this. This is on the block. And see this gasket? This is the gasket I remember coming off of this, was this one. Now, according to the exploded view, this gasket goes right here. I don't think it's this gasket. I think I ordered it. I ordered all these gaskets just to cover my butt, but I'm pretty sure this one was on here. I think this is the difference between this one and this gasket. According to the exploded view, there's supposed to be a blockage here too to cover this, and no, this is just my thought. Someone had mentioned on one of the bus pages that if you have this in here, it's for a city bus, I guess, for all the starting and stopping. So it pushes the coolant all the way through and around and back up to the motor, because it's coming from the water pump down here. Comes in, goes around these two coolers, and then up. So it cools the transmission in this. So if you have this restrictor in and you're starting and stopping, if you ask me, this is a restrictor too, probably to slow down the coolant from going through the trans a little bit. And this one looks like it would, you know, on a highway bus, this will keep up with what's going on. So I'm going to put some copper coat sealant on this and somewhat glue it in place. And then I'm going to start my way from there up and assemble this. So before I glue anything, I'm going to bring the cooler over, make sure that's... At least this will hold it in place. Alright, here's the game plan. I'm out at the bus. I got the 2 transmission hoses. Here we are at the bus. So let me see if I can get you in position here. So I'm going to put these 2 hoses on. So this is the top hose, which is the inlet side. Goes to the inside of the cooler, and the other one's a return. So the front connection is the inside, goes into the cooler, and the other one's a return. The front one's to the cooler. So thank God I labeled that. All this stuff. Might have to fix that some more. So the hoses were bent to go in place. And they had their memory. Alright, so this is why this is important.
this thing goes like this. And when I say front, I mean this one. So that's in to the cooler according to transmission, and this is back to the pan. The cooler is labeled in and out. And being this was the trans cooler, someone engraved it up here, trans, and they had it in this way. So that would be in and out. So that's correct. So, and it says on here, I don't know if it can be seen, but right there it says in and out. So you just want to make sure that that's I'm going the right direction, because some of these things only cool in that direction. So now, according to the schematic, this one goes on. Then in goes forward. In. Now this piece here, let's put some copper coat on this. Just got a little bit on this side. Okay, so that's that. So in, out. Right? Huh? Got it right. In, out. That's correct. This is copper anti-seize. Put these on the bolts. So then I'm going to go look up the torque on them and torque them down. So that's that. This is the cooler assembled with gaskets. Here's the cooler. I torqued it down. I replaced the 2 center bolts with copper washers. There was lock washers on them. I changed that. Hey, thanks for hanging in there till the end of this video. Stand by for the next video. There'll be more mistakes. I try to leave all that stuff in there so, you know, if someone else is doing the same thing I'm doing, that you won't have to go through the same mistakes I made. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and hang in for part 2. Make sure you leave a like and a comment and hit subscribe. Thanks.